Thank you, Speaker. I acknowledge the traditional owners of the land on which we meet, the Wurundjeri people. I would also like to acknowledge the Wadawurrung people, the traditional owners of the land of the Wendouree electorate, and pay my respects to elders past, present and emerging from both peoples. I stand here before you today honoured to be elected as the member for Wendouree, and I thank the people for Wendouree for putting their faith in me to serve the community. I love Ballarat. It's where I'm from. I was born and raised there, and my parents still live in the same house where I grew up in Alfredton. Ballarat is where Mike and I choose to live, to work and to raise our children. Ballarat is a great and growing community, and for good reason. Their heritage buildings, the beautiful gardens, the excellent sporting facilities and the increasing cosmopolitan lifestyle have attracted an influx of residents to our city. I embrace the vibrancy and diversity that the population growth brings. Ballarat are actually two separate words in local language meaning resting place. Wadawurrung clans have lived in the region for more than 25,000 years. The word Wendouree also comes from local language. Prior to colonisation, on the edge of Black Swamp, now known as Lake Wendouree, there was a camping ground. It is here, according to local folklore, that the word Wendouree was first heard by Europeans. Notably, it was not the most welcoming of circumstances, for the term Wendouree means go away. When Scottish squatter William Yule arrived at Black Swamp and asked a local Wadawurrung woman, "What is the name of the swamp?" her reply was clear: Wendouree. He didn't. In 1851, when Ballarat was first surveyed, the name of Black Swamp was recorded as Wendouree, and now the misunderstood word became the official name of our picturesque lake, the suburb to its north, and the electorate I represent. The district of Wendouree covers central Ballarat and the surrounding suburbs from Brown Hill to the east, Alfredton to the west, from Mount Rowan to the north and Redan to the south. And despite a name change and some redistribution, the seat is effectively held by Labor since 1999, when the seat of Ballarat West was won by community champion Karen Overington. This was the same year Jeff Howard won Ballarat East and Ballarat's own Steve Bracks became Premier. In 2010, Sharon Knight was elected as the member for Ballarat West and subsequently the member for the newly named seat of Wendouree in 2014. I am proud to be the third successive Labor woman to represent our district, following in the footsteps of Karen and Sharon, who were strong advocates for our community. I'm also pleased to be able to work with another Labor woman, the member for Buninyong, to deliver for Ballarat. Altona is another district that can claim 3 successive Labor women members. It is an electorate close to my heart, as I had the privilege of working for the former member, the late Lynn Koski, in 1998, when she was Shadow Minister for Housing and Youth Affairs. These are two policy passions of mine. Access to housing and addressing homelessness in all its complexity are seminal issues for this parliament and indeed for our society. And as a teacher, I have spent a lot of time with young people over the last decade, and I look forward to engaging with them about the issues that matter most to them. Lynn was a great Labor woman who made an outstanding contribution to Victoria as a minister in the Bracks-Brumby governments. I learnt a lot from Lynn, admired her greatly and think of her often. I'm proud that I can trace my family connections to Ballarat back to Victoria's Gold Rush, an event that transformed the then colony of Victoria. In August 1851, Ballarat became famous around the world when the first discovery of gold was made. This triggered the gold rush. It saw the establishment of Australia's first truly multicultural settlement and was later the site of the Eureka Rebellion. Miners from all over the world descended on Ballarat, including my great-great-grandfather Peter O'Driscoll from County Cork, Ireland. He left Ireland to escape the poverty following the famine and to find his fortune. And whilst there are many stories of heartbreak and disappointment on the central Victorian diggings, Peter did well. amassing £700 before heading back to West Cork to establish a farm, all thanks to his good fortune in Victoria and the famed gold of Ballarat. Growing up in a large Catholic family in regional Victoria has had a significant impact on my sense of self. My family has had a huge influence on the person I am today, and I'm so pleased to have my parents, Les and Trudy, and my brothers and sisters here today, Les, Eugene, Louisa, Paul and Christina and their families. Growing up with 5 siblings, life was hectic. There was a constant juggling of competing demands and not just of the shared bathroom. Dad ran a busy pharmacy, which was the only one in Ballarat that operated from 9 a.m. till 9 p.m, 365 days a year. Dad worked long hours, including every Friday night and Saturday morning, even going to work on Christmas Day if required. It was done without question because it was what was needed to do to build the business and to provide a necessary service for the community. Mum worked as a physiotherapist, treating children and adults with severe disabilities, as well as doing an enormous amount of community work. My mum is generous and kind, compassionate, committed to social justice and helping the disadvantaged and vulnerable. I could not wish for a greater role model. I wish to thank my family for their love and support today and always. I'm a proud feminist and I come from a line of strong women. Dad's grandmother, Annie Jennings, as a widow ran hotels in Geelong, and my maternal grandmother, Nella Hearn, attended the University of Melbourne in the 1920s and then worked as a teacher. I grew up believing, as my parents had raised me, that girls and boys were to have the same opportunities. However, the experience outside the home was sometimes different. When I was 10 years old, there was a sign in the local milk bar that said, "Paper boy wanted." It made me angry. So I marched in and asked the shop owner, Steve, who still runs the local milk bar, "Why didn't you advertise for a paper boy or girl?" To which he replied that he did not think any girls would be interested. After insisting he was wrong, Steve suggested that I should take on the position. When I tried to explain to him that I did not want the job for myself, just the sign changed, he told me that he expected to see me reporting for work the next morning. Not one to shirk from a challenge, I borrowed my brother's bike, thanks Paul, and became a paper girl. And for the next 3 years, I delivered the papers 6 mornings a week. When I let Steve know I was finishing up, he put up a sign in the shop window advertising, "Paper girl wanted." What this taught me was that whilst it is important to speak out, actions speak louder than words in bringing about change. It also taught me a bit about delivering. This is why it is so important that for the first time in Victoria's history, that half the cabinet is women. This government is leading by example and in doing so, breaking down barriers and shattering stereotypes. Labor's high levels of women's representation has not occurred by accident, but as a result of many people, including former Premier Joan Kirner, over many years. It is leadership like this that brings about fundamental social change and is one of the many reasons I'm proud to be a member of the Labor Party. I joined the Labor Party when I was a student at Monash because my values and ideals aligned with the Labor Party and the broader Labor movement. I believed then, as I do now, that Labor is the party of reform, of fairness and equity, social justice and working people, and that only Labor governments can make society fairer, kinder and better. The union movement plays a very important role in enshrining fairness, not just in workplaces but across society. Unionists have campaigned and won conditions that many people take for granted, including reasonable hours of work, annual leave, equal pay, superannuation and workplace safety, as well as being at the forefront of many social movements. I had the great honour of working as a union organiser representing steel workers at BHP Port Kembla in Wollongong and at the AMWU advocating for workers' rights in the printing and packaging industries. When your job is to represent workers in high-risk industries like steel and packaging, ensuring workplaces are safe and preventing workers from being injured or killed on the job is the top priority. Workplace health and safety is a very serious issue, and like many partners, I worry about my husband's safety when he is at the factory. Workplace safety is also an issue very close to home for many people in Ballarat, following the tragic workplace deaths of Charlie Halkins and Jack Brownlee in Delacombe in March 2018. Recently, I've had the opportunity to spend time with Charlie's wife, Lana Cormie, and Jack's parents, Janine and Dave Brownlee. I have seen firsthand the devastating impact these workplace deaths have had on Charlie's and Jack's families. Charlie Halkins was aged just 34 and a father of 2 young children, Sophie and George, when he was killed in the trench collapse. Jack Brownlee was only 21 when he did not come home from work. Jack was still living at home with mum and dad and his brother Mitch, and his whole life was still ahead of him. No one should ever die at work, ever. I'm proud that this government will create a new criminal offence of workplace manslaughter to ensure Victorians are safe at work. This law will ensure that putting people's lives at risk in a workplace will not be tolerated, and when an employer's negligence causes death, there will be serious consequences, not a mere fine. It is important legislation that I am proud to support. Prior to my election to this place, I had the pleasure of spending my days teaching students about history, as well as learning from them. It was a job I loved, and I will miss my interactions with the staff and students in the classroom, on the sporting field, and in the performing arts. I know every child can learn and progress, but it's not always easy. I want to ensure that students are engaged in their learning and supported in a world-class education system. I want our schools to instil confidence and pride in students as we prepare them for a world that is less certain and faster changing than the one I grew up in. That is why I'm so proud Victoria is the education state. From 3-year-old kinder to free TAFE, we are transforming lives and creating endless possibilities using the incredible power of education. I'm excited about the future and all that it will bring. The government's commitment to the people of Wendouree is exceptional. The investment in Ballarat, including the rebuild of the Ballarat Base Hospital, the rail line upgrade, Gov Hub and the train station redevelopment, is critical for the growth of our community. These projects are transforming Ballarat, creating new jobs, growing our local economy and building a better Ballarat. There is no place I'd rather be. Many people have helped me on my way to this place, and I am so grateful to them. I sincerely thank Mark Karlovic, Craig Fletcher, Andrew Boatman, Emma Harding, Craig Wilson, Anthony Nouse, local branch members, unionists and volunteers. A very special thank you to our family friends, the Fields, the McGreevy's, the O'Hallorans, the Taylors and the Youngs. Thank you to those I've shared this political path with over the last 25 years at Monash, NUS, Young Labor, Organising Works, the AWU Port Kembla, the AMWU, at branch meetings, Emily's List, Ballarat Trades Hall and Pathways to Politics. I would not be here without your support, encouragement, friendship, mentoring. I would particularly like to thank David Imber, Meredith Irish, Brian O'Connor, Stephen Dawson, Andrew Giles, Hutch Hussain, Trent Keir, Chris McDermott and the member for Burwood. I would also like to thank Graham Roberts, Andrew Wiley, Steve Walsh, Morris Addison, Lynn Ritchie, Alan Griffin, Lee Talamas, Matt Hilakari, Carol Schwartz and Andrea Carson. I also remember my friend Andrew Knox today, an AWU organiser who died in the September 11 attacks. To Catherine King, the Minister for Roads in the other place, and Jeff Howard, thank you for your support, friendship and welcomed advice. I wish to thank the Premier, the Attorney-General, the Leader of the House, the Minister for Mental Health, the Minister for Women, the Minister for Energy and the Cabinet Secretary for your personal support, as well as Cos Samaras and the team at Labor HQ. To Christina Dickinson, who is in a class of her own, thank you for everything. And to Mike, Johanna and Sophia, I could not have done this without you and I love you very much.